I want to welcome all of the gallery that is attending by phone as well. Present in the chambers, myself, Deputy Reeve Blosha, Councillor Foster, Councillor Wills, and Councillor Kushniryk. On the phone, Councillor Gade and Councillor Pierrepont. In chambers as well as the ACAO Finance Officer James Webb.
We had somebody join us on the phone. Who was that?
Marty?
Marty, thanks for joining us.
First resolution is resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 26th day of January 2021 shall be adopted as circulated. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Blosha. Seconded by Councillor Foster. Any discussion?
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes, Councillor Gade.
Okay, can you somehow turn up your volume a little bit, Councillor Gade? Everyone else we can hear, you we cannot.
Is this any better?
A little.
I think that unfortunately is as close as I can get.
Okay.
I was wanting to propose an addition. It would be 13.8 Amber session. There was a ratepayer that dropped off a request earlier today. It's quite important to them. They were hoping we could review it tonight and make a decision.
13.8 you say?
Yes, for ratepayer request.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, then it shall be adopted as amended. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
That is carried.
But you have to stay with
Can you turn it up here?
Wait, why you're going in. After the gate that.
We have some chatter on the phone. If you're attending by phone, if you can mute your phone, please. Unless you have something to say.
Man.
Okay, next resolution, resolved that the minutes for the regular meeting of council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held on January 12th, 2021, shall be adopted as circulated. Do we have a mover for that resolution?
What?
Councillor Kushniryk. A seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Wills. Any discussion, errors, or omissions?
Councillor Gade.
Go ahead.
Under 17, there's a resolution there, and then there's a note. For our rules, our minutes aren't to contain notes unless they're required. So certainly there's some cases where things are required, but when I look at the content of the note, it doesn't appear to be something that's required, but does certainly appear to be in keeping with the idea of trying to embarrass me. The note there has been added that I was called out of order. That wouldn't normally appear in the minutes. I think it should be removed.
I don't have an issue with that. Okay, it shall read then adopted as corrected, amended, corrected, amended, sounds better. Anything further? If not, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
That is carried. Okay, we will move on to 7, I guess, is the next item that's here. Swan River Lifeline Resolution. Whereas a letter has been received requesting financial assistance towards Swan River Lifeline, which provides a high-quality medical alert program benefiting residents throughout the Swan River Valley. Therefore, be it resolved that Council approve financial support towards this program to help with the purchase of Lifeline equipment in the amount of. Do they have a specific request or not?
No, just the past 4 years, we've given $725.
Okay, we will insert that amount and we will get a mover. 725, did you say?
Yes.
I'll move that.
Mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Blosha. Seconder, please.
I can second it.
Councillor Pierrepont. Any discussion?
Councillor Gade,
Go ahead.
not opposed to providing a grant to Lifeline. We've done it in the past and probably should continue. I just, it's a new year, and I would really like to see us streamline our granting process at some point. And a new year would be a perfect time to do that, to just, put all of our grant requests into one list and approve them and pay them and be done with it, rather than continually bringing one resolution at a time. I'm just curious, obviously tonight, this resolution is here for us to look at, but if in the future, if we could just send such requests to budgeting and come up with a list of the grants for 2021 and approve them and pay them, and not do this every single.
Okay, we've lost your voice if you were still talking, Councillor Gade.
I ended a few seconds ago. I'm not sure how much of it you heard or didn't hear.
Once the budget was done, I think was the last we heard.
Okay, so essentially my concern was that we not, at each meeting like we did last year and the year before, keep one resolution at a time, approving grants and paying grants. That we do the budget, we make the list of grants for the year, we approve paying them, and we pay them out, so that we streamline the process somewhat.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
That's carried. Okay, 7.2, Swan Valley Settlement Services. Resolved that Council of Swan Valley West hereby approve payment in the amount of $4,000 as requested from Swan Valley Settlement Services, also known as Northwest Regional Immigration Services, Inc. Do we have a mover for that resolution?
I'll move it.
Councillor Pierrepont,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councillor Blosha. Any questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
That is carried. Into number 8, financial items, 8.1. Resolved that the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West has hereby approved the following payments. General checks number 16666 to 16703 in the amount of $1,130,944.40 for a grand total of $1,130,944.40. Do we have a mover?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Wills. A seconder, please. Councillor Kushniryk. Any questions or comments with respect to the checklist?
Just one quick thing, Councillor Gade.
Go ahead.
Running out the check 16669 is for $537.60, which is above the $500 limit for a conflict.
What was the check number again, or invoice number?
It's check 16669 to DD West LLP. Voices, but together they total more than the $500 limit for conflict of interest, in case anyone's interested.
It's got nothing to do with conflict of interest.
Is there something that you are aware of that we are not?
It's considered Councillor Foster's name still being represented by DD West LLP. Seem he'd be in conflict.
Okay, we will take that under advisement. We've been assured that none of the payment was in regard to any member of council. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that is carried. This is 8.2, payroll checks. Resolved that the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West does hereby approve the following payments. Payroll payments, checks number 3475 to 3488 in the amount of $15,055.44 for a grand total of $15,055.44. Do we have a mover for that resolution? Councillor Foster. A seconder, please.
I'll second.
Councillor Wills. Any discussion on that list of checks? If not, all in favor?
Yes. Yes.
That is carried. Okay, we move to number 9, discussion 9.1 spray program. I think I mentioned this last meeting that we should take some time to think about spraying some of the areas that we have scrubbed over the last year or two. And I gave you the heads up last meeting, so we've had 2 weeks in between. Are there any thoughts from anyone as to how we should proceed, or if we should proceed?
Councillor Gade.
Go ahead.
I think we should consider it. Certainly, we haven't had success with what we're doing now. And it's a more cost-effective way. Certainly, since we discussed it last time, I've had some residents approach me with some strong concerns about spraying and that it be done in a safe way. They remind me of previous times our municipality, or I suppose more accurately, the former municipality of Swan River, the rural municipality, did some spraying and it didn't always turn out so well. So I think that underscores the idea that we need to do it in a very professional and safe manner. My recommendation would be that we launch quite quickly a request for proposals and see that we probably get a few interested parties that are licensed and qualified, and we have a little time now before it's growing season to check some references and see what's available. But in that request for proposals, we essentially just tell them our problem, that we're having trouble controlling the vegetation that is continually becoming an issue, and ask them to discuss what they would do about it and how, and then we can review those proposals.
Yes, that's an excellent suggestion, and I think we've only had one time in my recollection where we've actually hired a contractor to spray, and there were no complaints that I can recall, or anybody else. Everybody else shaking their head no here in the office, or in the chambers. But yes, now would be the time to put it out there. And they are qualified. Those that would be applying would be qualified, licensed, and knowledgeable about the type of product that's available to control the issues that we have, namely saplings and willows and that sort of thing. So can we have anyone else have a comment or not? Or a suggestion?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Okay, excellent. So is there consensus that we give direction to the ACAO to put together a proposal or ask for proposals from qualified applicators, roadside applicators.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we will do. Thank you for giving that some thought, and I think it's a step in the right direction because it's a lot cheaper to apply a bit of control material rather than waiting a few years and having to go back there with the scrub cutter again. That doesn't work that cheap, that scrub cutter. Okay, the next thing is littering. And we've had issues around the waste site at Swan. I'm not sure that that's been the case at Durban or at Bonito, but definitely at Swan River. And of course, it's our ditches that people could be from the rural municipality or could be from the town or even a neighboring municipality disposing of small and large items in our ditches, and then we have to send our staff there to pick them up, and that's not cheap either, and it's an eyesore and not the way we want to have it done. Now, I think that staff had actually delved into a couple of black plastic bags of garbage. I'm not sure that they found any incriminating names in them, but previously we had. A couple of years ago, we had the same issue that we spent a little bit of time on. However, the police were asked, and their only suggestion that I recall was to put up some signs. I don't know how effective that would be. They know that it's against the rules to do it. The only other option might be to set up a couple of trail cams, but then I guess you risk somebody seeing them and actually stealing the trail cam too. So, any ideas?
I don't really think there's much that can be done. I mean, yeah, we can put a sign up, but sign or not, if they're gonna dump their garbage, they're gonna dump their garbage, you know?
Yeah, I don't think this is shouldn't be all our responsibility. I think the town of Swan River must have to shoulder some of this too. I mean, how can you say it's just a rural resident that's doing it? So whatever the costs are to cleaning it up or signage or something, maybe should be shared with the town. I think the brush cutter needs to go that way. There's that strip behind the landfill on the east side there that needs to be cleaned up. If we are going to continue to clean it up, it needs to be cleaned out. But it just seems to be an ongoing problem for the few residents that are in that strip. And
I haven't driven there personally, Councillor Kushniryk, but what is there? A small, like paper that's blown out of the waste site, or is it larger items that people have dumped into the ditch?
I think the last time that I had gone down that way, it had already been cleaned up, the larger items from our staff. But yeah, there is some smaller items, some paper and plastics that do blow around. Even if we did it today, in a week or 2 weeks or a month from now, there's just another accumulation, and I think there's certain individuals that are just catching it all. So,
yeah. Would it help to keep the loose garbage if some page wire was erected there or not?
Is there not page wire there already on the east side?
on the east side,
How high though?
that's
6 feet?
Oh, okay. Because what I'm thinking, and this is only a thought that I have, we are decommissioning Durban, and we have a fair bit that has been used there.
Yeah.
That would still obviously be perfect for use somewhere else. So it would simply be a matter of the cost of removing and installing again, rather than buying the wire.
I think that would deal with a certain or set amount. I mean, I can't encourage individuals to pull the stuff out in a certain spot, but
No, it would stop maybe some of the single piece paper, plastic bags, whatever, that actually blow out of the pit in the waste site itself. It
Yeah.
wouldn't obviously stop somebody from dropping a toilet or Old Chesterfield or whatever into
Yeah.
the ditch, right?
yeah. And I think our staff are doing a good job at going out and picking up those bigger pieces, so good for them. It's just gonna be an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Councillor Gade.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's two issues at play, and I think we heard most of on the phone what was discussed there. That's more, material leaving the landfill without maybe human intervention or making it leave. But we do have a fairly serious problem with human intervention being involved in leaving things like sofas, chairs, appliances, sometimes bags of stuff that we know didn't blow out of the landfill. They were simply dumped. Whether it was cheaper than taking them into the landfill, or perhaps the landfill was closed, or gosh, perhaps the person only had enough gas to drive within half a mile of the landfill. In any case, that issue doesn't seem to exist elsewhere in the municipality. It exists just around that one landfill, and thankfully, the town of Swan River is a very good partner of ours in that landfill. So I look at the material staff prepared, which is very good. I commend them for that preparation. It provides a lot of information there. I like the idea of installing signs. In the proposal here, it lists 2 signs. I might consider installing 6 to 8 signs, so that they were in each direction in that square around the landfill. We'd have to look at exactly where to put them. We have, I believe we passed a resolution, perhaps even a policy on the installation of signs for private individuals if they're looking for a specific sign. I think it would apply here. So I would think we would take the cost of the sign plus the cost of installation. Perhaps talk to the town a little bit, but it needs to be done. And we would expect them to cost share that at 50-50 like we do every other cost for that landfill. And it may not always be 50-50. It depends a little bit on use, I believe. But use the cost-sharing formula for those signs. I think the notice in the newspaper might not be a bad idea either. And again, I would see that as something that would be applied to the cost-sharing formula, because obviously it's impossible to know who really leaves that stuff there unless they put their name on it, and they don't have a tendency of doing that. But with such a good partner as the town of Swan River, I'm sure they would be glad to help share the solution to the problem.
Okay, you're suggesting 6 to 8 signs, you said?
I have to get my mind around exactly where, but there's, I think, more than 2 locations I'd want. There's certainly behind the landfill and to the south of it, perhaps also that road to the west of it, at the beginning of what I would call the dropping zone on each of those roads, because I know all 3 of them have had problems, so that would be 6. We may find that there's suggestions of another location or 2, but I would think a minimum of 6 would be appropriate.
Okay, I think what we could do, if no one objects, is add that to the talking points when we meet with the town vis-a-vis the shared services. We will be talking about the waste site, obviously. Any other suggestions or comments? Not, we'll move on. 10.1, Town of Swan River letter. Everyone has a copy of it?
Yes.
Any comment with respect to the mayor's communication with Minister Stephenson? Has to do with the purchase of a CT scanner for those of you in the gallery. Would it be appropriate for the municipality to send a letter of support or pass a resolution of support in...
Councillor Gade.
Go ahead.
I don't know that I'd go the resolution route. We've already done that, but certainly a letter in much the same form. I think George Jacobson has done very well with wordsmithing there. But a letter to Minister Stephenson, again congratulating him on his appointment and reminding him that we too support the CT scanner and are looking forward to the project being completed soon.
Okay, any other suggestions or comments? Is there a consensus to do exactly that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing under 11? Okay, we will go to committee reports and communications. We'll start at the bottom this time. Councillor Pierrepont.
I had no reports for the last 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Blosha.
I had a short health foundation meeting and an LUD meeting and an HR committee meeting.
Got that? Got it? Okay. Councillor Kushniryk.
We had a quick RISE meeting the other night. I guess it simply looked more like a brainstorming idea session, areas that we can focus on for this next year. So again, there was good involvement from all municipalities still involved, and I think we're going to reconvene here this week for some more consideration.
We have quite a bit of noise on the phone. Somebody's rattling a baseball bat there.
That's better, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Kushniryk. Councillor Foster.
Can you just say that again, the RISE meeting?
The RISE meeting.
Good.
That's good.
Councillor Foster.
Is that the airport meeting there? Not there.
Okay, for those of you on the phone, Councillor Foster suggested or reported that he had an airport commission meeting, if you could not hear him. Thank you, Councillor Foster. Councillor Wills?
Just an HR meeting for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gade, do you have anything to report?
Unfortunately, there were no committee meetings that I was invited to in the last couple of weeks, but I certainly did have opportunity to spend some time talking to quite a few residents of the area, which is always nice to talk to them. So I certainly take the brief opportunity to thank those residents for contacting me. Even with COVID, we've been able to find some safe ways, either on the phone or socially distancing, so we can still talk about what their needs are and make sure they're helped out. I sure appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. As far as myself, I attended an HR meeting, airport commission meeting, and a RISE meeting. Councillor, okay, we're done, Council. James, do you have anything to report?
Attended an LUD meeting.
Okay, thank you. We've gotten through this part of the agenda fairly quickly, and we have one resolution here. Resolved that we do hereby accept the following verbal reports regarding council committees and communications. Councillor Kushniryk, RISE, Councillor Blosha, Health Foundation, LUD meeting, and HR meeting. Councillor Wills, HR meeting. Councillor Pierrepont had nothing to report. Councillor Gade spoke with residents. Councillor Foster, airport meeting. Myself, an HR meeting, airport meeting, and RISE meeting. And the ACAO, FO, James Webb had an LUD meeting. Do we have a mover for that resolution, please? Councillor Blosha. Seconder, Councillor Foster. Any comments or questions on that? If not, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That is carried. Okay, we have come to the point in the meeting where we will open the floor for questions pertaining to subjects arising out of the meeting. Do we have anyone from the gallery with a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, who is speaking?
It's Shannon Reynolds from Kenville.
Okay, we did not have you as attending, so finance person is just writing that down now. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. In this regard, I've listened to quite a few of the meetings, and with the committee report, there's no detail. So, is there written reports that I can get to find out what's going on at all these committees? Can I pick them up at the office? I mean,
There are no detailed reports submitted by council members. If there is something out of the ordinary other than regular business at a committee meeting, generally that will be reported upon in the preceding segment that we just went through, and that is written down by a recording person.
is there somewhere where I can get what the regular business is?
Are you speaking minutes now?
Yeah, possibly, or like even point form, like really like, attending RISE. That doesn't really tell me what's going on with RISE or what the regular business of RISE is, so I'm kind of curious about that.
Okay, well, when Councillor Kushniryk reported on it, he described in brief form that it was a brainstorming session, basically, trying to give some direction to the EDO, the Economic Development Officer, and nothing was firmed up at that meeting, and we do have a subsequent meeting that is coming up on Thursday, and we will likely have a more defined focus on what we expect the EDO to be doing or pursuing for the next little while after that meeting has been completed.
Okay, awesome. And I just wanted to, if someone could tell me at some point what rules of order you guys use for your meetings, if it's Roberts or those, I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to grasp that. And this isn't the signage regarding the litter just popped it into my mind. And this isn't something that you guys discussed tonight, but with the cold weather, I think it's kind of emergent. There's still dogs tied up to fixed objects against the bylaws, and they've been tied there during this whole cold snap. It's very cruel. I just thought I'd let you know that.
Okay, another place, I guess, that could be notified if it's...
You didn't know who to notify.
If it's real egregious would be the Animal Shelter Society, the Swan Valley Protection League.
Okay, super. And the rules of order, do you know?
Bill's rules, I guess.
You can get back to me on that one.
Okay.
That's it, thanks.
Okay, any other comments?
We still have someone rattling pretty close to their phone there with papers, unless they're doing carpentry. If you could mute it, that would be great.
It'll be wonderful when all of this COVID is done and we can get back to some semblance of normal. Anyone else from the gallery have a question or a comment? If not, then on behalf of council, I would like to thank you for attending, and we look forward to your attendance on the second Tuesday, of February. Thank you. And we will take a 10-minute recess, and when we return, we will go in camera.
I'm just gonna.
Resolved that pursuant to Section 152, Sub 4 of the Municipal Act, this meeting shall be reopened to the public. Do we have a mover for that resolution? Councillor Kushniryk moves. A seconder, Councillor Foster. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
That's carried. Okay, next resolution, business arising from in camera, whereas the provincially approved third-party intake reviewer has dismissed Code of Conduct complaints number 1 and 2 based on their being past the 30-day limit. Be it resolved that council hereby accepts the decision to dismiss the said complaints. Do we have a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Wills. Seconder, please.
Yes.
Moved by seconded by Councillor Pierrepont. All in favor?
Oh, sorry, discussion?
You have some discussion? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Thank you. A couple comments. First, I want to preface it with, I know a lot of the public will be listening to the meeting after, specifically this section of it, to find out what happened here, because it's been discussed quite a lot. Manitoba Municipal Act 83(1), Section D, provides that a member of council is to keep in confidence the matter that's discussed at a meeting closed to the public under Section 153, and the committee decides to keep confidential until the matter is discussed at a meeting of the council or a committee conducted in public. Tonight, we've come out of camera, we've had a vigorous discussion, closed portion of the meeting, and we're now in the public portion. Means that the matter discussed is no longer required to be kept confidential. I'm going to limit my comments. Certainly, it has been a vigorous discussion. The resolution says it well. The recommendation to dismiss both complaints was made almost and solely on the idea that they were filed past the 30-day deadline that's in our law. In the written decisions that council has knowledge of, nothing else was really considered. There was in one of them a secondary matter of who can file a complaint, if it's one person or many. What wasn't considered in either case was the merits of the complaint. In both complaints, I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination that most people are aware they both were against me. And they detail different things about what I had allegedly done to breach the Code of Conduct. None of those allegations were proven or disproven in the process, because the filing wasn't done in accordance with the bylaw. It never got that far. The reviewer never looked at it. Was that a breach? Was that not a breach? Had I done wrong? Had I not done wrong? Should this resolution pass? We'll end at that point. There will not be a resolution to that question from them. But I think it's important to note that the reason we're considering dismissing tonight recommendation because of the timing, not because of whether or not the complaints were valid. It may be they were completely valid, it may be they were not valid. Neither case was actually considered. It never went to that step. It stopped essentially at step 1 or 2 of checking to make sure the forms were filed correctly and the times were right. So that's an important thing to note. In our vigorous discussion tonight, I think it laid bare that council has bigger problems than just what was mentioned in the 2 complaints. There's a lot of ancillary discussion to it. Tonight we heard comments that, quite frankly, had they been made in public where people could hear them, it would cause a complete lack of faith in our ability to conduct business. And I don't know how we recover from that. Certainly part of our discussion was how we recover from that, able to do that. But anytime we have someone making comments that they have no intention of following them.
I'm just going to mute you, Bill. You're muted.
Illegal to mute me. So
I will
please
mute
don't.
you when I need to. Because you know what? That is out of order on my behalf. That's directly against me. And you stay within the resolution conversation. You're gonna get,
Right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Webb. I'll continue then, if that's all right with you.
I don't see a point in going on and on about this, Councillor Gade.
I know, but that may be your opinion, sir, but I do have the floor.
Well, you will not abuse that privilege then.
I'm allowed, so I'd like to continue, if that's all right.
Continue.
All right, to continue. Thank you. So we'll leave the discussion that Mr. Webb just spoke about alone, because obviously that's causing grief discussed tonight. We'll continue to the part of the complaint process that I want to talk to that doesn't involve that particular section that we just heard. And that is that we need to make sure the rules for the complaint process are clear to everyone. I don't think as council we've so far done that. Should be providing the complaint.
I think we're gonna take a recess now. It's time for a recess.
The opportunity to file complaints if they want to, and hopefully they.
Councillor Gade, if I just may interject, I do not see any other reason than perhaps an attempt at a bit of a grandstand. We want to close this meeting out in a timely fashion. We have a resolution before us that's very plain and straightforward, and in essence, there should have been no comments made on it because enough comments were made in camera that it was clear in everyone's mind what was going to happen. So I will give you 30 seconds to wrap up, and then I will call the question.
Just make sure, I don't know if I'm muted now or not. Can you hear me?
Yes?
We can hear you.
So in 30 seconds, I guess I will close simply by saying that we're violating our procedures bylaw by not allowing me to have the floor like I am. I've been interrupted by the acting CAO and the Reeve. They've made clear that I'm not to discuss this tonight. And while I don't agree with them, the Reeve is chairing the meeting and he has chosen to violate our bylaws, and that is his right. Thank you.
Okay, just a little bit of clarification. As you and everyone else sitting on council knows, this was a brand new bylaw that was first introduced and passed third reading at the end of October of 2020. November 1st, the regulations came into effect, and it was brand new to all of us. It is a cumbersome process that I guess is meant to ensure that frivolous complaints aren't brought forward. There's many hoops that have to be jumped through, and it is a learning process. So we will be following very closely all of the essential steps that are needed in future to file any complaint. And if you took the training, and I believe you were the first member of council to take the training that is required of all council members, you will have read and been told in that training that all aspects of the code of conduct processes are to be strictly confidential. I will now call the question. All in favor?
Recorded vote, please.
I've already called the question. I'm sorry. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Opposed? Abstained? You're not voting in any fashion then, Councillor Gade?
Well, you know, I'm quite concerned with your grandstanding tonight, sir.
Oh,
If you
wow.
refuse to accept the recorded vote. I'm also concerned with...
I had already called for the vote, Councillor Gade. You are very well aware that a recorded vote has to be asked for before it is called.
So did you ask for any further discussion before you called the question?
I had offered that to everyone previously. I asked you if you are voting one way or another.
You've introduced new information to the discussion.
Okay, it is carried 6-0. Thank you very kindly. Any other topic before we adjourn?
I have one.
Go ahead.
A while back in 2020, we illegally passed a resolution setting the tax year. I'd like us to do that correctly so we comply with the Municipal Act. I was curious of council what process we'd like. I could bring a notice of motion to undo the resolution, and we could pass it again in the correct year. Or do we want to look at a different process? What would be the most appealing?
What resolution are you referring to?
In 2020, passed a resolution setting 2020 as the tax year. That makes our tax sale for the 2020 year invalid and unable to proceed. We need to correct that.
Most laws are stated on,
We can't pass it in 2020.
most laws are stated that a reasonable person would consider it, and we've considered it, and we feel that it's correct, and there won't be a problem with it.
Currently over here, I prefer to actually comply with bylaws and the Municipal Act. So would it be best for me to bring a notice of motion then, or do we want to deal with it a different way?
I feel that we don't have to deal with it, it's been dealt with, and it's been passed, and it stands on its own. A reasonable person, you said at another meeting that a motivated person could use that against us. We're not dealing with motivated people, we're dealing with reasonable people, and we expect you to be one of those.
I would suggest that at least one of the 8 people in this meeting also wants to comply with the law. I would like to do the steps that complies with the law, so that if we go to tax sale, God forbid a property is sold at auction, we don't later find out that we had no legal right to sell that property.
Okay, perhaps you could bring the resolution that you are referencing to everyone's attention, and can we deal with it at the next meeting?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 9:50 p.m. Be it further resolved, next meeting is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Foster. Seconder, Councillor Kushniryk. All in favor?
Yes.
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 That is carried. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.